First things first, before we start talking about strategies and techniques, I want to talk about time in general. It's important to recognize and remember that time is a finite resource. We get 24 hours in a day, that's it. But we have different personalities, experiences, circumstances, and skills. There's not a right way to do things, but there's a right way for you. And we're going to find it. So what does this all mean in a practical sense? It means that if we've got too much going on, we either need to do less or do what we're doing more efficiently. For most people, it's a combination of both. However, because I'm going to spend the rest of this course talking about the ways to use time more efficiently, I want to take a moment to talk about doing less. I'm sure you've heard the advice that you should get better at saying no. And I know that's really hard. There are really only two aspects to reducing what's on our plate. What we're doing now, that we don't want to be doing, and what we're going to say yes to or no to in the future. First, let's talk about adding more stuff to our lives. Most of us say yes without thinking about it a lot of the time. We feel pressure to say yes, to be liked, to be helpful, because it seems like a good thing to do or something that we should do. But we're not always thinking about our time and priorities. And that's often how we get stretched too thin. So the first thing is just take a breath and don't say yes immediately. Say you need to look at your schedule and get back to them and then sleep on it. Then you want to ask yourself, is this a heck yes situation? And if it's not, then say no. And if it is a heck yes situation, then you want to think to yourself, if this were tomorrow, would this still be a heck yes? And if not, say no. And finally, look at your priorities and your schedule. If it's a heck yes, and you'll do it in a heartbeat tomorrow, do you actually have time for this? And if you don't have time, is it? It's important enough that you replace something else you are doing. If not, it's still a no. There are some situations like your boss assigning you a project, where it's much more difficult to say no. I'm not talking about those situations here. I'm talking about the things that are not actually obligatory. Sometimes we think it's selfish to say no, but in fact, it's much better for everyone that you say no to something that you might feel resentful of when the time actually comes to do it. So those are the steps that you can take when you're being asked to add something new to your plate. Now the next piece of the puzzle is reducing what's on our plate today. Another way to think about this is, what am I doing right now that I really don't want to be doing, that I wish I had said no to, or that just isn't working for me anymore? There are ways to reduce these obligations too. You can extract yourself gracefully, of course, or you can delegate to or outsource. The first step to reducing what's on your plate already is to take stock of all your obligations and to figure out how to remove those things that you're no longer deriving value from. Next, you'll complete an activity that will help you do exactly that.